Welcome back to Kiwi Bred. Later this year we'll see the New Zealand Bloodstock ready to run sales. We find out what life is like for a young vendor as he prepares his horses for sale.
Diamond Lodge is a month away from its third year as a vendor at the New Zealand Bloodstock ready to run sales for 2-year-olds. Proprietor Jeremy Whale has spent the last 12 months in preparation after a successful sale in 2011, where Diamond Lodge finished the sale amongst the top 10 vendors. Kiwi Bred caught up with Jeremy to find out why he finds this particular sale so appealing.
It's sort of a natural progression for our business to go from breaking in just into the ready to run sales. You know, we get to keep the horses a bit further and follow them along the sales, and then as they progress afterwards. The ready to run sales are leading sale of 2-year-olds in Australasia, so they're doing a fantastic job with it. They do a great job promoting the ready to run sale. They bring in international buyers. The results of the sales, they speak for themselves.
Mindful of the recent success of the ready to run sales, Diamond Lodge ensures a quality draft and have become selective about the type of thoroughbred they like to offer buyers.
We like a big, strong colt, obviously not something too heavy, but they have to have good size, a good shoulder about them, and you know, be correct, a nice correct type of horse. There's no point taking a horse that's not going to sell, it's not going to make money. You have to keep the standard of the sale up, so it is important that you take a nice horse to present to buyers at the sale.
The planning for the ready to run sale began almost 10 months ago for Diamond Lodge, and Jeremy explains their methods of developing a yearling into an educated 2-year-old.
We bring them home from the sales. We normally give them a fortnight or so in the paddock, 3 weeks, just to let them relax again, and they've been locked in the boxes at Karaka for a week or so over the period of the yearling sales, so it's good for them just to come home and relax, get them in, break them in. So we're normally about 6 weeks breaking them in. Then we put them out for another month or 5 weeks. We'll bring them back in and do another month, a month to 6 weeks, get them down to the track. Normally put them through the starting gates in that stage. That's sort of the middle of winter when it's the yuck. You don't want your horse out in a muddy paddock. They're rather better off being in boxes, nice and warm. And then after that, we'll give them another month to 6 weeks in the paddock, just depending on the horse. You know, each horse is different, so you have to treat them as individuals. But roughly 6 weeks in the paddock. Then we're back in 1st of August to start the ready to run prep.
Prior to sale, all entrants are expected to breeze up, where they head to Te Rapa racecourse and are timed galloping over a 200-metre section. These gallops are filmed for prospective buyers. It requires a real balancing act to train a 2-year-old to breeze up successfully for the sale.
There's a really fine line of pushing them over the top and not doing enough with them. It is important that they breeze up, you know, so breeze up well, otherwise you do struggle to sell them. A good breeze up is important. Each horse is different, but there is a fine line. You can't push them too hard. Young horses, you know, you're going to find they become shin sore if you do too much with them. If you don't do enough, you know, you're not going to breeze up well. A big, strong type of horse can probably take a bit more than a light, fragile type of horse. You know, their legs come into consideration. You know, a horse that's got bad legs, obviously you can't run up on a hard track much, or you are going to encounter problems with joints. Shin soreness, as I said before. Yes, each horse has an individual program of what we do with them, how much we gallop them, when we gallop them. Like I said before, most of our horses all go through the gates, and they all work in company. They have to be doing everything professionally. We are educating young racehorses, so it is important that they are well educated, quiet, and you know, do everything right on the track as well.
Diamond Lodge expects its draft to show these qualities. Jeremy likes to see his team breeze up in style whilst being held together and galloping in a professional manner. After the breeze ups are completed, preparation then begins for Karaka.
Normally we're home in the paddock for 4 or 5 days just to let them relax after that breeze up. It is quite a bit for a young horse to take in, you know, all of that. So we put them out for a few days. Then they're straight back in, being boxed, and we've have the luxury of having a walker, so we use the walker a lot in that time, especially with the colts that tend to get a bit heavy and get a bit boisterous during that time as well, just to keep on top of them.
The New Zealand Bloodstock ready to run sales has had an unparalleled level of success in the last 5 seasons, celebrating 10 Group 1 victories, and since 2010 has produced 6 Derby winners, including Sangster, Shoot Off and Fei Fei. This year's sale has over 400 2-year-olds on offer to buyers.
Look, they're buying a ready-made horse basically, aren't they? They've watched the breeze up tape, they can see the horse's action, but it takes the guesswork out of it. As you're buying a yearling, you don't know how it can gallop, you don't know what its action's going to be like. But with this sale, you've got basically the privilege of being able to see that already. We did have a great year last year, and we want to improve, so every year we want to do better and better than the previous year. So hopefully this year we can do the same again, if not better. We've got a lovely draft of young horses this year, so I'm expecting good results.
Those 2012 Ready to Run sales will take place at Karaka on November the 20th and 21st. Now it's time to head across the ditch with New Zealand Bloodstock's Richard Haynes.
Hello and welcome to Kiwi Bred Abroad, brought to you by the Singapore Turf Club, racing on Fridays and Sundays. Well, Kiwi we're about to speak to has been abroad for quite some time. I speak of Kerry Jordan. Kerry, thanks for your time this afternoon, and well, Sydney's been home for you for quite a while now.
Yeah, I've been here since the late 70s. Sydney is home.
Can you give us an idea what you are doing with yourself now? What keeps Kerry occupied these days?
Okay, I'm attached to Racing New South Wales. I'm their liaison officer for programming and handicapping. Have been doing that for nearly 3 years now, and it's an interesting vocation. I'm enjoying it very much.
Okay. And what are the main aspects of that job?
Well, with the programming and handicapping, what we're trying to do is 3 years ago we introduced a new benchmark system of handicapping. It was my job basically to sell it to the trainers and owners, and also with the programming, it's our job to tweak the programming to make it as successful as possible.
When we talk about programming and we talk about the horses that are racing in Sydney, we'll touch on the Kiwi Breds. We also have to be mindful of these European horses coming out. A lot are coming out now by the plane load. How do you see the Kiwi Bred horse competing from a mile upwards with these European horses that are coming out regularly?
Look, I think this is good for our racing in Australia and New South Wales. I think we're going to see a resurgence of middle distance and staying races. And I think that eventually these European horses will probably become too expensive to buy. And I think that there'll be the opportunity for the breeders of New Zealand bred stayers to keep their market going and continue to grow their market, because I'm sure that there is going to be a market for many years into the future. And I think that the John Thompsons from Richard Stud with Pentire and put his hand up for shocking, I commend him, and I think you've just got to hang in there, keep breeding these horses to our great female families in New Zealand, and continue to be competitive. I can see in the future with this resurgence of middle distance and staying horses. Look, we've got the Melbourne Cup. All these horses come out for one race. There can only be one winner. What happens to them after that? Personally, I'd like to see the Sydney Cup. What's the Golden Slipper's worth? 3.5 million. Make the Sydney Cup 2 million, 3 million. Make it a set weight and penalties race. You've got the BMW leading into the Sydney Cup. I think within 5 years you could make the Sydney Cup a race that could compare with the Melbourne Cup. I reckon it'll be just a great race. You've got to keep those horses out there, encourage staying racing. People love seeing staying horses race. We all like our sprinters, but we can't just have races for 500 kilogram greyhounds. Staying races, tactics, the drama of staying races. I think that we've got to get back to having, and it happened in New Zealand as well, where they reduced the distances from 2 miles to 1.5 miles. We've got to get back to 2 mile races, all those cup races, make them 2 mile races again, build the prize money up for those races, and encourage these staying horses, encourage trainers to train staying horses, encourage owners to go out there and buy them, both in Europe and New Zealand, because the New Zealand horses, in my opinion, have still got the potential and the ability to match it with these sort of horses that we're getting out from Europe.